So, Cam, I'm looking at the rushing numbers from the running back position. There was one particular series where the Canes were buried inside the 5, gave it to Don Chaney a couple times straight. He was just like tearing through guys. He got it out to like the 25-yard line, if you remember that series. And then I think he got banged up a little bit, had to leave the game. So he finished 5 carries, 18 yards. Cam Harris had a 14-yarder. Take that away, 11 carries for 10 yards. Jalen Knighton for 7 for 25. So it, of course, speaks to the defensive front that they were playing, but not much room in the running game.
But again, this is what we talked about. That was what Pittsburgh's game plan was to do. It was to crash against the run because they have guys up front because they're able to do that. So the front 7 is going to get up the field. It's going to make it tough for you to run the ball, and we're going to play man-to-man on the back end and then dare you to hit a throw or a couple of throws to win the game. And then, I mean, that's what we did. You know, you look at 2 of the touchdowns were on fake QB draw or QB power. You know, you do that whoop, wide open thing, you know, which I love. So, you know, you do that. So that was 1 touchdown to Will Mallory up the middle. That was the first touchdown to Cam Harris up the middle on a fake QB run action. You get that beautifully designed trips to the short side, streak post wheel combo to Mike Harley up the sideline, and he's wide open because they weren't able to tango switch on the back end. Boom, you score. And then you get a short yardage touchdown throw on a traditional kind of rollout to Will Mallory, and those are your 4 touchdowns. You hit the throws that were there to hit, and you win the game. If you don't hit those throws, it's more likely than not, what, 13-12? 19-13? Think about it, because you had long touchdowns, 38, 40-something, and 40-something, I want to say, or something like that. They were all long score. Let me go get the yardage on those. QB curve.
Mallory 45, Harley 38, Cam
Harris
35.
Boom. So, I mean, you're hitting from yardage. You know what I mean? Like, you're covering a good amount of ground there. If you don't hit those throws, what do we have? You know what I mean? Like, instead of 21 points, that becomes 9 points. So if you take 21 off, you minus 12, that gets 19-19 right there. You know what I mean? Like, those throws were the throws that we needed to hit to win. And that came at the expense of the run game, and Pittsburgh was willing to do that. They had 14 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. So you're going to have to throw the ball a few times and hit those throws if you're going to win. Last year at Pittsburgh, what was it? An RPO slant to KJ Osborne. Steps out of a tackle, shrugs another guy off, walks to the end zone. We win at the end. We only hit 1 of those throws. This year we hit 4 of them, but that was by design. Would I like it more if Miami were able to lean on Pittsburgh in the run game, like we were able to lean on Florida State and Louisville and UAB? Absolutely. I would have loved that. That wasn't what it was based upon their scheme, their personnel, and their abilities on the other side. But what I do like is that we did not quit. We never capitulated. We hit the plays that were there to hit, and we won the game.
So I'm going to speak to both the good and the bad for both teams, because we're going to know a little bit more about everybody as the games unfold. But in particular, Pitt and Notre Dame, when they play next week, I believe that game's at Notre Dame. Because Pitt's playing close games against everybody, and to Miami's credit, Miami was the one team that they lost to that beat them by 2 scores. So it was the game was somewhat in doubt, but Miami was in a comfortable position throughout the second half. But it was in doubt until about 5 minutes left when Miami salted it away by maintaining possession of the ball there.
Right.
7 replays, 3 go for 140 yards, 70 go for about 190.
Correct. You know, I mean, it's just, yeah, it was. I mean, but if you add in a couple of the other chunk plays, you had 3 passes for 16 each. You had 4 runs for a total of 60. So I mean, if you're adding in the chunk plays as well, yeah. But you know, it's the explosion is there with Miami's offense. That is incontrovertible. It doesn't matter which game. Even against Clemson, you saw some explosion. You didn't see much efficiency, You know what I mean? And I don't think that we saw a lot of efficiency against Pittsburgh as well, or either last week. But there are things to build on. And every game is its own living thing. So we did have to regroup from the Clemson game, figure out a way to beat Pittsburgh, and we did that. But yeah, there are things to look at. And to Scorpio Kane's point, we've also had 2 different wide receivers coaches recently. We've actually had 3 in 3 years, because Dugan's left to go back to Florida State, or we let him go. We bring in Taylor Stubblefield. He leaves to go up to Penn State. And then we have Rob Likens now. So, yeah, I get that there has been a lack of continuity from year to year at that position particularly. But the performance just has to be better. And, I mean, look, Rob Likens has coached up consecutive first-round draft picks from Arizona State, Brandon Ayuk and N'Keal Harry in consecutive years. So, I mean, you don't have to look very far in the past to see his track record as a coach and developer. It is just going to take a little bit of time. But even with that, I think that we're seeing that with some of the returning guys, some of the veteran guys on the roster, what was once thought of to be an unlimited potential ceiling is now being capped at what we're seeing is who they are. This is pretty much what they're probably going to be. So now we're going to look in other places, because it's been a year or 2 or 3 or 4 of this same kind of performance. So, there's a whole thing, with your time horizon changes. So, like, I mean, if you have a freshman coming in, I'll take my guy Keyshawn Smith, for example. The potential for what he could develop into right now is the variance is large, because there's so much time for him to grow and develop and improve his, athleticism and technique and skills and things like that. But as that time horizon shortens, so that, okay, we're talking about senior and he's doing the same things as now, that same ceiling for potential is not unlimited anymore. It gets lowered. And so that's the same kind of a thing that we're seeing with other guys. So, I mean, could it happen with the younger guys in the room? Yes. Do I want it to? No. Do I think it will? No. But I'm really ready to see what they have. Because if we have to go back to what we've seen from the veteran guys, from Pope and Harley and Wiggins, at least we know what they can do. And then we'll just do that, work on that. And then hopefully the freshmen currently, and then this year's incoming recruits, we'll try to get them developed to a different level. If that's what it has to be.